Welcome to Theater Advice with OnStage Blog, where we give advice and answer your questions on all things theater. My name is Greg. I'm part of the editorial staff of OnStage Blog, and with us today is Chris Peterson, with more than 25 years, right? You've been a director, you've been a performer, you've been a producer, you've been in design, you've been backstage, you've been front of house, everything.
All over the place. Exactly.
Right. You got a wealth of knowledge to bring to help answer questions, reader questions, and other questions that we find on Reddit. And also, of course, you've been going to Broadway shows for what, 35 years, right? So
Exactly.
there's no question you can't answer when it comes to community theater, Broadway shows, all that stuff. So we're happy to doing this. This is a brand new YouTube series. So we're doing an episode about every 3 or 4 days. So make sure you subscribe to this channel to make sure you get every new episode that comes up. So let's get started. So our first question is from Reddit. Is from user Independent Benefit 34, and she asks a question about auditioning for Rent. So I'm going to read this question. We're going to show it on screen. I am a 19-year-old female and I am white, very Canadian. It's rumored that my theater group will be doing a production of Rent. Rent is my all-time favorite musical. I have 2 Rent tattoos. I would want to audition for Maureen, but I also love Mimi. Is it wrong to audition for Mimi as I am white? It is only a university club theater production. Ideally, I would want to put down my audition for both, but I am conflicted as I am white. There's not many POC in the club. I need some thoughts. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Ooh, short answer. No, you should not audition for Mimi Marquez in Rent if you are a white person. Her ethnicity is mentioned throughout the show. She speaks Spanish. Spanish is spoken to her. Especially someone a white person who doesn't know how to speak Spanish, that could come off as really, really bad. I've seen that happen in the past. Avoid that at all costs. Now, I love this question for a couple of reasons. One, they identify as very Canadian. So I completely understand where they're coming from on that. And I also love the fact that they love Rent and want to perhaps play their dream role. I think that's a great thing to have happen. But as mentioned in the question, you are white. You should not be taking on this role, especially it doesn't matter if it's a professional production, amateur production, collegiate production. This is a university club production, so it doesn't even sound like it's an official part of the theater department's season. She mentions that there's not a lot of people of color in this group already, and perhaps why is because white people maybe traditionally have been taking roles originally written for people of color. So in order to take a step back and include those people and make them welcome and perhaps grow the diversity of this club, they should definitely not be taking a role of color from a person of color on that end. However, let me end this on a positive by saying the fact that this person is even having this conscious thought, so to speak, this conflict in their head of saying, should I do this? Shouldn't I not do this? That's a great thing to have happen. That's a great step forward. In the past 10, 15, 20 years ago, there would have been no question in this person's mind. They would have just gone ahead and auditioned for the role. And if they can, quote unquote, look like a Latin person, hey, I got the role. It's mine, regardless of what their actual race is. So the fact that they're already thinking about this and asking this question, that's a great thing.
That is a great thing. And I would even go far as to say we have people today trying to audition for white people today auditioning for roles that are meant for people of color, right? I mean, we write about this issue a lot on OnStage Blog, and we will continue to write it because it's not good for theater, it's not good for the arts. Let me ask you though, is there any play where it would be appropriate for a white person to audition for a role that's traditionally played by a person of color?
Yeah, absolutely. As long as that role is not written for a person of color, where their race is important to the storyline, or it was written that way by the author intent. Here's a great example. Aladdin on Broadway right now, the genie has traditionally been played by a Black performer. However, there's nothing in that role that says that it must be played by a Black actor. It's just been designed that way for the Broadway production. However, once those rights become available and community theater groups and college groups and amateur groups can start performing that show, Anybody can play that role, whether you're Asian, Black, White, Indian, Hispanic, even perhaps different genders with that role as well. So again, as long always pay attention and respect author intent. The author wrote these roles to be played by certain people. We need to respect that.
Yes, and the question we get a lot on Facebook and social media and stuff is on Hamilton, right? It's like, whether it's going, not that Hamilton's really been for community theater, but in terms of auditioning and using audition songs from Hamilton, should white people use songs from Hamilton that have been played by people of color, obviously from the Hamilton cast, at all? How does
That's
that
a great
apply?
question. Yeah, I remember there was an article that we did on this a while ago where someone said you shouldn't, and that caused a bit of controversy. Here's my thing: it's the songs themselves don't talk about the Black experience. They don't talk about the Hispanic experience. So for an audition purposes, by all means, use whatever part you want. Now, if you are doing Hamilton, now this is an argument that we're going to have in 2030 when those rights finally become available for people to start doing this show. That will be a completely different issue to talk about then, because while this show was designed for people of color to give kind of a different designed perspective on the American experience, not everybody is going to respect that. Now, I will say this though, for those white people out there that think they can rap, if you want to step into the shoes of Hamilton, good luck to you. I've seen illegal productions of people doing Hamilton, white people doing Hamilton, and sometimes it doesn't come off as great as you think it might. So buyer beware, as I like to say with that.
Well, in 2030, OnStage blog will be there to write about if anyone's auditioning.
You better believe it.
So thanks, Chris. That wraps up this episode. So again, subscribe to this YouTube channel and or follow us on social media at OnStage blog, which is our handle for both Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. We'll be posting these episodes on there as well as on YouTube. So thanks, Chris. See you next episode.